Welcome to the Restoration Activation Project video commentary series. Hi, Marianne here, and I'm glad you could be with me. In the last commentary, I was looking at ways to address those of us who have found ourselves in or we're currently experiencing and may yet experience further along on our journey. The experience of finding ourselves alone. Feeling alone in this work, on this journey, and various ways to approach aloneness from a consciousness progressive perspective. So if you haven't already seen that video, I hope you'll take time to look at it, particularly if you're going through that experience right now, because you'll likely find some things that you can turn to that may well help you move through that process with more finesse, particularly those of you who are feeling very lonely in your aloneness. Okay, so check that one out. In today's commentary, I'm going to be looking at this process of transition that we are currently undergoing. Transitioning from various cosmic and energetic cycles that are winding down and beginning to unfold into the cycles beginning again, so to speak, as well as our current evolutionary cycle winding down and coming into transition and unfolding into the next evolution cycle, or cycles, based on various timelines and various versions of this reality and so forth. Addressing that from a zoomed out perspective, so we have a little more handle on that, so that we can bring some really good baseline information back into addressing it in our day-to-day lives, and some actual tips and tools and techniques that may be of benefit to you if you're really experiencing, not just in the mind-body complex, but in various areas of your life and situations, this tremendous flux of energies that's going on now, all around us and through us. Okay? So, beginning from the zoomed out perspective, a number of people are calling this, it's been referred to as the transition, the time of transition. I think the most current popular reference is the event. Some refer to this, or at least some certain aspects of this process, as the reset or the resetting. Doesn't really matter what you call it, but choose terms that keep you in a place of a progressive perspective of this process. So choose terms that work for you in keeping you in a place of balance and centeredness and trust, so that you can keep moving on your journey and not be thrown completely off course along the way. It's a particularly challenging time because of all the energies, and particularly those of us that are sensitives and empaths. There is so much going on, not just, as I said, through the mind-body complex and our energy centers and our energy field and such. But in different areas of our lives as a result of that. And all of this is going on with other people too. And we're not islands. Everything's interconnected. So it can be, and it can be very intense at times. Some of these goings on can knock even the most seasoned travelers on their keisters. And because so many of the things that we are currently experiencing are new. Yeah, we've been through some version of this because this transitional period isn't like a light switch going off or on. This is a process. It's a process. So we've been experiencing this build up and this momentum and all for some time, those of us who've been on the journey for a long time. But even at that, I know I personally am experiencing a number of things that are new to me in terms of the actual experience, the physical sensations and energetic sensations, and sometimes a sense of confusion because it is multiple things occurring at once. They're all, quote, new to me in the moment. And so I feel like I'm going, sometimes during some stretches of time, I feel like I'm constantly being blindsided. Boom, boom, boom. So it's challenging to say the least. And it can get very intense. And cause us to kind of lose sight of or get off center, to get off track in some cases, and which makes it that much more difficult to kind of get back on while addressing, doing our best to address these energies and so forth. Because right now, let's look at the I'll call it the resetting. And I know a lot of you are very aware that this is going on, even if you don't feel like you have any real deep understanding of the actual mechanics of this process. You know something that this is going on. You're aware, at some level, to some extent, you understand that this process is going on. And perhaps many of you are going to various sources of information online. I know a lot of people are, because there's not a whole lot about this in textbooks. You're not going to find a lot of information about this. It's because the last time this happened was well before recorded history. And some people have spoken to it since the last process, but very far removed from the actual experience of it themselves. So in doing so, and this is good, if you're seeking some information outside of yourself, in addition to going inward, going to inner self, whole self, core self, if you're also looking outward, and in both cases you're seeking to expand your inner knowings around this, to access that and deepen understandings of some of what might be going on, that's good. However, particularly for those who are fairly new to the self-mastery awakening process, it can be really scary. Some of the stuff you're reading, or very misleading as to the kind of information that's being put out there right now. And there's a lot of intentional as well as unintentional disinformation going on. Because the bottom line is, the majority, even the most authoritative sounding sources, it's based on inner knowing, but again, it's their perspective. And that's good and well. And it's good to look into information. That's a good thing. But remember, it is, for the most part, speculative. Because even those of us who may be here, who've been through this over and over and over, throughout the never-ending flow of consciousness, I mean, these cycles repeat, and they're not identical, but chances are those of us, and probably most of us on this journey have been through this before, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we're newer souls. Maybe we haven't been through it before. But in any case, even those that have, most don't have detailed memory, conscious memory of how it works and kind of how it unfolds and so forth. So it is, for the most part, the information is speculative. And as I said, there's some intentional disinformants out there, as well as unintentional, that are just putting out what they feel is going on. And like I said, the popular term right now is the event. And one of the types of information that's being put out there is with regard to the influx of energies, both earth-sourced, the energetic system and structure of Earth, as well as this reality as a whole. The shifting of energies, the inflow of energies as they come into this energy system. Remember, Earth is, our energetic system, this reality, is undergoing this transition as well. Not just all these mind-body complexes, but the system itself, our reality. And so therefore we're experiencing things that this mind-body complex, this expression, this form, has not experienced. So we know that's going on. We know that there are energies coming in. I mean, even if you're not on this journey, the conscious journey of awakening, even just from a 3D perspective, someone that's not even on this journey, there's evidence of massive solar flares, various forces that are impacting the electromagnetic field, even though that's an energetic overlay that is not innate to this energy system. But all of these energies are being affected. And so, okay, that's some pretty safe information to go with. That's solid. There is a shift in energies going on, a transition of energies. But some of the information being put out there is that this inflow of energies that's coming back into this energy system that have been either, if not completely shut down by the higher density beings that have been pulling the strings in this evolutionary cycle, predominantly regressive, to, if not completely cutting them off, various sources of higher density, higher dimensional energies, then muting them. Energies from other, stellar gateways being opening up, reopening, and opening to come back into this system, to flood our system with energies as part of this transitional process. So we know that's going on. There's all sorts of energies, but some of the information around that is that solely, in other words, if all we need to do is just absorb the energies, and then everything's going to just will suddenly have higher density dimensional capacities, and everything's going to be love and light and all of that sort of thing. So there's a lot of, and those things might happen. There might be a sudden, for some entities in this reality, that might be the case. I don't know. Do you? For sure? I don't know. Excuse me. But chances are that would be very limited, or limited to a certain segment or type of mind-body complex with certain specific energetic genetic codings and infrastructure. And the reason I say that it will be limited if it happens at all, simply because, and again, this is in the context and addressing those who are on a conscious journey of awakening. But our original design is intricately interwoven with the energies, and I'm talking the higher order energies of potential and vital energy, consciousness itself, our makeup, interwoven with the energies and workings of this energy system, our reality. So it is a twofold process. We are a part of that process. This gets back to self-responsibility. It's important that we look at this from a partnership perspective. We are here to assist this energy system and its unfoldment, as this energy system is assisting us in this process of unfoldment through transition or into different cycles and so forth. It's a two-way street. And again, I don't know, certain segments of the population might just be instantly, everything's lined up and tuned in and, or I should say realigned with the original settings of this system as it comes into those, unfolds into those with the help of other cosmic forces, other energy gateways and all that are reopening, and some of those gateways here on this planet reopening that had been shut down, and now they're bursting forth. And now there's also, as I said, other cosmic energies unfolding and opening up too, and these energies are intermingling and opening various gateways, and these energies are will be coming back into, some already are coming back into our energy system. But I just want to caution those of you to know that there is a lot of misinformation out there right now, and that if you're on this journey of awakening, then why would it suddenly be that we're not playing a role in this? That this is us just all going to be done for us and to us without any participation at all on our part. So just a little common sense there too, because what is the journey of awakening but the journey of full responsibility, active participation in creation and various processes. For example, this big one that's going on now. It's about active awareness of, to the best of our ability, to the greatest extent possible for us right now, and participating in that. Helping our energy system so that the energy system, as it resets itself, can assist us more fully in our transitional process. Two-way street, give and take and give. That's just the way we were designed. Ourselves, the original mind-body complex, and this system. It's a cooperative effort, a cooperative creational effort. And so the ways we go about that is the process at the very baseline level, self-mastery. Continually tuning into and becoming more and more familiar with our energy centers, with our three energy centers, the mind center, the heart center, the intuitive creational center, as well as our creational tools, thoughts, emotions, actions, and behaviors. And becoming master of those, master of our energy field. Because now more than ever, it's important that to the best of our ability, those things are clear and open, and we're working to stretch and to become masters of them, observing our thoughts and emotions, choosing them wisely, and certainly our behaviors and actions, choosing them as wisely as possible, choosing those that are progressive, being mindful, present moment centered, and mindful of not just what's going on around us. That's good too. More and more being able to sense the various types and different energies that are going on, that are occurring around us and moving through us and so forth. But taking responsibility for what we're putting out there, more important than ever. And for example, when I speak to being responsible, becoming master of and responsible for our emotions and the energies that we're projecting, the way we release our emotions, doing that responsibly. And not just dumping, for example, when we clear our energy centers. Being responsible in the way that we do that. And when we do find stuff, not just dumping into this energy system, say, okay, it's out of me. But being responsible for the way in which we do release and taking responsibility for what we do with that energy, how we direct the distortions that we may find, what we do with that. Once it's out of our system, how are we addressing that? Because that's energy that's going out into the system. Pardon me. And so there are ways to address that release, and even, the energies the emotional energies that we're clearing and discharging, any distortions we may find in our energy centers and our energy field. Not just finding distortions and releasing, but releasing them responsibly. That's another way to learn about your energetic capacities. Taking responsibility, not just for cleaning and clearing, but for what you do with the garbage that you find. We're responsible for that too. Okay? So, consciously participating in this process in cooperation with the greater energy system that we are a part of. It isn't about relying, it isn't just about relying upon the energy system itself. We're part of this. And it's nothing to be intimidated by. This is where the self-mastery work comes in. But this is another layer to it that I'm addressing for the first time. It's like I've addressed responsible emotional release and energetic clearing, but I want to really tie that into, because that's something we should be doing anyway, even if we weren't going through this transitional process. This is something that we need to become masters of anyway, but particularly now, because things are chaotic. Just look around and you can see how various people all around the world are behaving, some of the events that are occurring, the impact in your own life, in your own mind-body complex. So remember, you are a co-creator in this, as always. So keep that in mind. And continue seeking information with your primary source being your own inner knowing. And it's okay to look. You should be looking outward as well. Both. Balance. Using all the resources available to you to increase and expand into higher order understandings of what really is going on right now. So that's all good and well, you know. Stay centered in that. Now, along with all of this, or as part of this chaos right now, let's look at what that means in terms of what we might be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Of course, this means that as we near the end of these cycles, there's a real intense push from the beings that are regressive dominant, trying to get everything they can out of the system, hoping to push the regressive dominance into the next cycles, as well as an influx of progressive entities and energies. There's a lot of both right now. So please don't lose sight of that, because even though regressive dominant entities are being stirred and they're active right now, very active, and there's a lot more coming in, some really regressed entities and beings, but the inherent duality of consciousness, imagine all of the good energies and the progressive dominant entities and beings that are now working within and through our energy system to bring things into balance. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the sensations, I know that, and I'll speak from my own experience right now, there's a lot of new sensations and new experiences that can feel very disorienting at times. And I've been challenged on multiple occasions in the last few years. And just another going through various times where the energies and string of events that are unfolding in my life and around me are very intense. And despite my experience on this journey, I'm feeling blindsided quite a bit. And I recently had an experience where, because of the way it unfolded and the energies, I really was, quote, caught off guard. And because of that, I was kind of thrown off track, and it took quite a bit of work to get back on track. Even though I wasn't thrown far off, it was just, again, like I said, very disorienting. A lot of you might be feeling some intense bodily sensations, aches and pains, or other disorders just out of the blue. And maybe they're just temporary, but you're caught off guard. So part of what I want to address today and to give you is to give you some tips and tools so that you're more and more and more, or I should say less and less and less, caught off guard, even when it's a completely new and different experience or type of event or circumstance in your life. It's like, oh, this is completely new and different. I've never been through anything quite like this. And you're trying to search for some anchor in it, but you just can't find it because it's brand new. And not all of you are experiencing this type of thing, but I know a number of you are. And some of you are experiencing, for reasons aforementioned, is maybe more regressive entity attacks, whether in your space as a presence or through acting through another, or you feel like your dreams, your thoughts, your emotions are really being tampered with. And remember, even though these higher density entities, these regressive dominant beings and entities, they can inject thoughts and ideas into us, but only those that are along some vein of our own thoughts, some of our own already trains of thought or seeds of thought that are already within us. They can inject perhaps a more perverse or intense version of that, but it's still, they can only work with what we already have within us. Hence the importance of clearing distortions, because that's what they latch into, is our own distorted thoughts and emotions. And by distorted, I mean those that are flowing from false beliefs. So even injected thoughts, which some of these beings can do, and they can hook into our emotional system and amplify our own fears and mute those feelings of peace, an innate sense of joy and inner peace. They have ways of muting those. So remember, they can only hook into, pardon me, and tamper with stuff that's already within us. Okay? Now, let's say, for example, that you were moving through your day You're feeling as though you were in tune and in touch. You were did your clearing work in the morning. You're moving through your day. You feel aligned with inner self, your energy centers. You work to get those aligned and cleaned out in the morning. You're moving through your day. And then just suddenly you feel blindsided. And what I've personally been experiencing is almost like it's not just a poke, a single or a little series of 2 or 3 injections or occurrences, but a wave of mixed energies. And as I said, I'm an empath and intuitive, and those of us sensitive could be experiencing this transitional unfolding more keenly than others. But because it was a wave, think of water, a rogue wave that comes at you. You just didn't see it coming, and you're in it, and you're sort of gasping for breath and so forth, and you're feeling disoriented. And I know that once I was sort of thrown off, this is my old heavily mind-centered self sort of kicked in, and I was immediately trying to analyze something completely unknown to me. Not a good choice. In that moment, it wasn't a good choice. And so, which enabled the wave to sort of take hold of me for a time. And that's what I meant when I said it was harder to work my way through it and move through it and beyond it, because I was knocked on my keister, blindsided, caught off guard, and thus not feeling centered, a sense of balance, a sense of inner peace. Again, like I said, it was literally like being caught by a rogue wave when you're out swimming in the ocean. So what I want to provide for you is like a little checklist of ways to help yourself move through without feeling like you've been thrown totally off course, and try to make things a little less intense, perhaps less stressful for you as you go through this, because we're kind of just getting started. Things could become a lot more intense before things level out. Just speculation on my part, but this is the pattern that I've seen unfolding, and more so in recent times, recent years. Things are kind of, as things come more and more to fruition, things get more intense, just like a birthing process. Very similar to that. So to give you some tools to help you regroup faster, so to speak. First and foremost, getting more and more and more in the practice of not only aligning with and opening to the flow of higher order self, your whole self, your core self, doing that every morning, and then checking in throughout the course of the day, on and on and on, and again at night before you go into the dream state, protecting yourself before you go into the dream state, reclaiming dream state turf as your turf and nobody else's, But really getting into, if you're not already doing those things and really being mindful about them, keeping yourself in present moment awareness, really strengthening that, getting stronger in that, those are fantastic, powerful tools for managing these rogue waves of energy and stuff that are coming at us. So strengthening all of that, getting really strong in those things. Core self-centeredness, energy center balance and harmony. The practice, focused attention given to observing your thoughts outside of emotion, without condemnation of one thought over another, choosing which thoughts and trains of thought you will follow and create through, choosing to the best of your understanding those that are consciousness progressive, transcendent thoughts. And the feelings then flow from that. But really, really stepping up your game in those areas as baseline procedures for helping you move through this transition process, this transitional phase of that we're going through, as well as our energy system, our reality. Okay? Now, instead of doing what I did when this last wave hit, and it was big and powerful, but again, keeping in mind that in some way, it couldn't have impacted me in the way that it did if there weren't still things within me. And this process, if nothing else, is bringing up, almost in a compressed way, bringing up, because that's what it is. It's a clearing and restoration of the mind-body complex and their energy system to their original settings, if you will. And there's a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And we're responsible for identifying and clearing out distortions. Whatever, some of you may be experiencing parasites in your energy centers, or in your energy field. Leaks in your energy system, so forth, things like that. It's more important than ever that we're tending to that, mastering those, properly learning to properly administer our energies and creational tools. Okay? So really stepping up your game there. And filling self, keeping self filled to the greatest extent you're able to in any moment as you check in, and check in frequently. You never know. It's a rogue wave. If you knew when a rogue wave was going to hit, then it wouldn't be a rogue wave, would it? So becoming stronger and stronger in that, breathing in and enabling yourself to more readily, continually opening and deepening access to the inflow of whole self intelligence and beingness. One of the things that I noticed myself when I was going through this experience, in addition to a sense of disorientation and the power and intensity of this wave, this energy wave, was like a light switch had been turned on, pardon me, in terms of the intensity of emotion. I want to talk about that a minute. Remember, if you are, and even if you're not a sensitive or an empath or an intuitive per se, there are waves of the energy, not just cosmic energies and energy system energies that are moving and unfolding. Some are closing down, being minimized, while others are opening up. But the impact this is having on every other being in this energy system. How many others, and how many others that have no idea that this is going on whatsoever? They're not, if they're intended to be, if they were here to be on a conscious journey of awakening, they're either still asleep, and then there's those, think about the energies of those that are not here for that at all, but they're functioning through using a mind-body complex, a human body, to do their thing. But even at that body and the bodies of those who are asleep, and even those that are still humans, but they're not here on a journey of awakening, all of that emotional energy and disorientation and the stuff that's going on in their lives and how they're responding to that is intense. So it can be very disorienting to some of us, very overpowering, overwhelming. So I want to provide a few suggestions and some tools that if you are caught in that, if, excuse me, for whatever reason you were caught off guard, it's not condemnation, no judgment, but if you are, some steps you can take to help you more quickly get back into your flow, back onto the journey without being too deeply or too far thrown off. And now remember, this also too, the very fact that I was caught in this rogue wave of energy, so to speak. We just don't have language for all of this stuff, so I hope you're patient with me in that. Words are just so inadequate in so many ways, so many times, but bear with me. But no judgment around that, but also realizing that, okay, there's some steps I can take so that I'm better prepared next time. And what did come up in me? And these are steps you take only after the fact. The misstep that I took was going into that process because I was so disoriented, going into that process of seeking deeper understandings while I was still experiencing the process, because it was so overwhelming. But that doesn't have to happen to you. I've taken steps in it. I'm not saying that I won't ever be caught off guard again. That would be silly. I'm sure I will. But next time, I've got a little set of tools that I was using anyway, but now I've really brought them into the forefront, so that I can be more prepared as these waves of energy keep unfolding. And they will. They are. They're gonna. So one of the things that I first experienced in retrospect, that I realized that I was doing, was resisting the wave. I did not go with it. it was so powerful and so big and so new that I fell into resistance. Okay? So, when this first happens, don't resist. And you say, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to not resist? What exactly does that mean? Okay. Do your best to go with it. And the good way to start, get back to basics. Breathe. Deep breaths. Do what I call the pause breath. Okay, I'm feeling really, this is big, this is bad, I'm feeling disoriented, I'm feeling almost like I'm gasping for air. Well, what do you do when you're gasping for air? You breathe. And I'm sure you have all heard of some version of this, but begin doing pause breaths, as many as it takes to help you get back, not feeling so overwhelmed and more centered. But it entails breathing in to the count of 4, holding the breath to the count of 4, and expelling breath as deeply as you can to the count of 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And do that at least 3 times. So you get sort of back in center and flow. And then you can more go with the flow. Get out of your head. Become the observer of your thoughts. And you see them, you're observing, but you don't latch on to any of them in this moment while you're actually going through this experience. But it gives you a focus. And be aware of your body. Perhaps some of you you're not in a place where you could even think about observing thoughts. Then get into your body senses. What's my body feeling? All right. Perhaps I don't know, it could be anything. Your body is your body, your mind-body complex. This can be experienced in as unique ways as there are unique individuals in this. Perhaps you're feeling a little queasy. Perhaps you're feeling a particular discomfort or pain in some area of your mind-body complex. Perhaps you're feeling a muscle twitch or anything. Just open yourself, become aware of how your body, your mind-body complex is responding to this wave. And just watch it and experience it. Don't try to analyze anything. Just keep breathing through it. And as I said, paying attention to the bodily responses, the responses of the mind-body complex is a way to help keep you centered without getting knocked over by the wave, completely overtaken by it. Okay? So try those things. And again, you should start feeling a little more centered in it, where you can step into the mind energy center again And let that be a tool to work with you and assist you in moving through this, either through observation of thought, or again, maybe you're not quite up to that. You're just going to have to experience. This is all new to us, but I'm just offering some pointers, something that you can kind of latch on to and make a list. Take notes of the things I'm saying so that you have a little list of tools if and when this does happen. And it will happen in some form or version to all of us. It is happening to us. But when you're a little more sense of centeredness, feeling perhaps a little more like yourself. For me, it was really difficult because because I was caught off guard. Again, I stepped too quickly into trying to process what was going on. And I was in a place of resistance, which was making it even more difficult because I was feeling overpowering emotions, which I later could see was like, this is way more than just me. But it was very, very powerful. And I got caught in the wave. And so therefore, my, quote, shields were down. And I was experiencing all of this. And it was painful as hell. So pay attention to some of the things I'm telling you, especially you sensitives and empaths and intuitives out there. Then when you're feeling more centered, a little more, quote, normal, whatever that means these days. But then pull up some power words for yourself. Power words around higher order understandings of what's going on. Perhaps one of the words could be balance. This is all part of the balancing process. Balance. And that word is very powerful because it also helps you keep centered and strong as you're going through this. Balance. Balance, balance, balance. Perhaps a word that might work for you, another power word might be transition. Transition. Or time of transition. Again, subtle cues to not only your conscious awareness, but the subconscious. Okay, this is what's really going on. This is my own experience, but it's not personal. It's specific to me and my uniqueness. Even when an entity is coming at you directly, specifically you, it's not personal. It's all part of the process. So balance, not personal, not personal. Time of transition. Using language, words as a tool of empowerment. And the more calm you come, the more you become centered and calm. Then allow more and more of inner self, whole self, energies and intelligence to begin filling you, because now your body should be less contracted. You're less in a state of resistance. And the inflow is bigger, more open, because you're more open. And again, this is not the time for processing the experience. And my hope in telling you about my experience is that I can't prevent you from ever being blindsided, but my intention is to provide you with a few tools that can help you better navigate and come through in a more progressive consciousness, progressive way, the various energies and situations that we'll be confronted with, the various intense people and energies going on around us. Stay true if you have a process for energetic and energy field shielding, up level those. Up level, intensify. And if you don't have those kind of tools in your toolkit yet, or what you're using isn't working, I can help you with that. You need those things. You need a good set of very unique to you tools that work for you. You need a good toolkit. And maybe your toolkit is a little lacking right now. Maybe some of these things are working to an extent. Well, try up-leveling, intensifying. For example, your energy field protection system. And if it still doesn't seem to be working, then I can help you try out different ways to do that. Different processes and methods of accomplishing that you can experiment with until you find one that is effective for you. Because I assure you, there are tools, not just one, but multiple tools out there that are effective, that can be effective for you personally. And I can help you find that. I can tune into you and your energies and situation and recommend some that are directly attuned to you. So prior to knowing that these things are going to happen, it's part of the process, and they're going to feel new to you. So take the steps that I mentioned earlier about stepping up your game in terms of energy, becoming more and more sensitive to energies around you so that you can more quickly bring up shields when needed or intensify shields, protective shields, or using your tools at night, protecting your dream state, clearing, keeping your energy centers, your creational tools and systems clean and clear, your energy field, stepping up your game in all of those, in clearing space for whole self, core self, more and more space to, and therefore capacity to transduce that inner sense of the inner sense of peace and calmness that is core self, ramping that up before things happen, just as part of your regular self-mastery attainment work. Because the more you do that, the far less likely you are, even in this chaotic time, this chaos of energies and change and all of that stuff and transition, the better prepared you'll be and the less likely you'll be caught by these rogue waves of energy and other similar types of situations that are unfolding as we go through this transitional process. Make a list of power words that seem to be of benefit to you. Balance. And you watch this video more than once. In fact, I'm hoping that those of you that are benefiting from this information are watching the videos more than once. Taking notes and watching more than once, because it takes multiple times to perhaps get everything that I'm imparting, because I'm not just imparting words and language. It's also energetic. And to attune to that and use that to help you as well. Make a list of power words that relate to higher order understandings of what's really going on, so that you don't tend to take it personally. Time of transition, balance, and remember the breathing, the pause breath. If you are caught, if you do lose your footing for a bit, breathe, 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 breathe. Deliberate pause breath breathing. Again, that's getting your focus. Being in the moment, not resisting it. And it helps you also, when you're present moment focused, mindful of how you're going through this event. That's the best way to deal with fear. Whatever fear might be arising in you around it. And it brings down your resistance. Your tendency, if you have been caught off guard, to go into resistance. Because that just exacerbates everything. I know. I know this. Not just from this recent experience, but from a number of situations throughout the course of my life and since I've been on this journey. I have made things in those cases so much more painful for myself. Those times when I was resisting the event, the sensations, the feelings, and that made them that much more intense. That was the source of my pain, was the resistance that I was putting forth. So perhaps maybe one of your power words or phrases is flow. Instead of saying the subconscious connects to, rather than using negative as in don't resist, say I'm going with the flow. Because the subconscious latches on to the primary word. So in other words, if you were to say, don't resist, subconscious doesn't hear don't or do not. It hears resist. So always use phrases in the positive mode. Go with the flow. I'm going with this flow. I'm going with this experience. I'm in the flow of this experience. Okay? I think on that note, I'll call it a wrap. But if you, if you're getting blindsided a lot, and you're getting to the point where you're so wrung out, mentally, emotionally, physically exhausted, please try. I hope you'll experiment with some of these tools and techniques. And if that's still not enough, then I hope you'll give me a call. There are ways you can get yourself through this. Know that. Know that too. You wouldn't be here and on this journey if you weren't already equipped to navigate it and to move through this transitional process. That's just the way it works. I know a lot of the New Age teachings focus on that a lot. You have everything you need, but you don't necessarily understand what that is. Well, I've laid out A lot of those things that you do have, that you can use. And if that still doesn't work, like I said, just give me a call. We'll tap into those things that will work for you, because you are fully equipped. Even if some of those tools need polishing and cleaning up, you have them. You were built to go through this transitional process, as well as this energy system, this reality. Real human, the real human mind-body complex, and the real human consciousness occupying. That's what we were built for. We are built to do this. So meditate on that. You're made to do this. And sometimes our learnings and our remembrances can be compressed into just a few moments or a few days' time. And that's part of this resetting process. Things are being amplified and compressed and so forth. And so things feel very intense at times. That's part of the process too. It's part of this resetting, transitional, flowing into new cycles process. It's just part of it. Well, I hope that there's something that you can use in this information if you're experiencing some of these kinds of things. And if these videos are of benefit to you, I hope that if you haven't already, you'll subscribe, and not just on YouTube, but on my website. Because when you subscribe on my website, not only do you get notified of the new commentaries as they come out, but also new articles as I publish those, along with other resources for information that can be very supportive to those of you on this conscious journey of awakening. I'm glad you joined me for this exploration and this little mini adventure. Again, watch the video more than once if need be. Write some stuff down. Keep it in your pocket. Be prepared. Be a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout. Be prepared. Don't be afraid to take notes and keep a couple of lists around. Stick them on your computer screen. Or if you're at the office, maybe that's not feasible. But you just write down simple words. No one's going to know what that is except you. Use it. Find ways to support yourself in this. Make it easy for you to access tools, to access quick bits of information that are going to help you go through these experiences. Okay, until next time, take care on your journey. I hope you're still making progress. If you're not, you know where to find me. Bye until next time.